we are going to be talking about grapes. Yum, right? Actually, I'm not referring to the grapes that we eat. I am, however, referring to the elements that make up a civilization. So, grapes is actually an acronym that's going to help us look at each of the parts required for a civilization to be considered a civilization. So, what exactly is a civilization? A civilization is a society, and this society has cities, there's a centralized government, there are workers who specialize in certain jobs, there are social classes in this society. Um, this society has religion and writing and art and architecture. These are all the things that are needed in order for a society to be considered a civilization. So let's get started with the G of grapes. The G stands for geography. And we know that geography is how people connect with the land that they live on. There are different types of land all around the world, and that creates different types of lifestyles for people. Obviously, if you live on a beach in Hawaii, the way that you interact with your environment is going to be much different than that of someone who lives on a mountain in Alaska. So when we're looking at early civilizations, we want to look at how did the location that this civilization began affect the development of this civilization? How did the environment affect the people? How did the geographical features or the landforms around that environment affect people? The place that you live, including the weather, the city, your street name, is all a part of your geography. Here are some examples that we might see today of geography. So roads, the infrastructure of a city or a town, the landforms and the physical features of an environment and how they would affect how we live. Let's look at R. The R in grapes stands for religion. Religion is a set of beliefs about the things that we can't see or explain. 75% of all the people on earth follow one of the 5 major religions. When we're talking about ancient civilizations, we want to think about what factors contributed to the development of the religions. How does this religion believe in gods? Do they believe in one God? Are they a monotheistic society? Or are they a polytheistic society where they believe in many gods? And how did religion shape this society? When it comes to A, we're referring to achievements. Achievements are important discoveries for future generations to enjoy. These can include art, architecture, technology, and no, I'm not talking about iPads and cell phones, although that is technology. When we're referring to ancient civilizations, we're going to be referring to different types of technology. Inventions and ideas are usually achievements that we focus on. So when I'm thinking about early civilizations, I want to know what achievements the civilization developed. How did those achievements change that society? Did they impact other societies? Do we still use some of their achievements today? You'd be surprised that there were many achievements that were made in very early civilizations thousands of years ago that we still use today. The development of coffee, for example. All civilizations are measured by their achievements. Let's look at P. When we're referring to the P in grapes, we're referring to the political aspects of a civilization. So we're talking about politics. And politics is how people share the power to make decisions. People oftentimes get into fights over who gets to be in charge. And Throughout history, we see many civilizations who end up fighting with each other and getting into wars with each other because someone wants to be in charge of a larger group of people. When we're talking about politics in ancient civilizations, we want to know how they were organized. Who was allowed to be involved in the politics? Were everyday citizens allowed to be involved? Were only the elite in the society allowed to be involved? Did this civilization have laws? Because not all civilizations did at the beginning. Every group has politics associated with it in some aspect. Our friends, our teams, our schools, our countries. Let's take a look at E, the economy. Economics is how we get the things we need and want. So when we're looking at early civilizations, we want to know what economic practices this civilization had. Were they buying and selling? Were they trading with other societies? That's what economics is all about. If they did trade, how did the trade work? Did geography impact who they were able to trade with? These are all things we need to consider when looking into early civilizations. A good economy serves all of its people. Lastly, we have S, and S stands for social structures. The word social means people living together. So when we're talking about social structures, we're talking about groups that form and end up putting people into different categories. Throughout history and throughout the development of early civilizations, we're going to see a lot of examples of social structures that have rich versus poor, race versus race, men versus women. We want to know, as we look at these civilizations, who made up each of the classes in the social structure. Were there restraints to who could be in each social class? Were there benefits of being in one social class over another? You can see the image on the left-hand side is actually from ancient Egypt, and we have the pharaoh at the very top. And then as the little pyramid, the triangle gets larger and larger, you end up with your poorer people and your laborers. There was even another level below this for people in Egyptian society. So we're looking at all the aspects of how people live together when we're talking about social structures. That is all for grapes. Please make sure that you go back if you need to review this video, and we'll be doing an activity in class tomorrow.